what a difference a few days make. It's continued to be quite hot and very, very dry. So we've been busy trying to get some water into the ground. But sometimes when you net a particular fruit or vegetable, even though you do pay attention, you do miss certain bits of growth. And I was really surprised when I came down today to weed and water one of the Brassica beds that I've actually got broccoli growing. How nice does that look? Now, I'm not going to make the mistake as I did last year and try to grow them too big, because sometimes you can actually ruin the broccoli. But everything in here, hey, look at that, that's a beauty. Another couple of days and I'll be harvesting this broccoli. But the greyhounds, the golden acre, and I think it was all round cabbages are doing exceptionally well this year. And so far, no major issues with pests, but it will happen. It will happen. Now that has made me quite excited. With it being such a slow start in spring with my plants this year, getting exceptional growth over the last maybe 3 weeks has really bolstered me on. Sometimes we can get really disappointed. Oh, I'm falling over. Sometimes we can get really disappointed in our products, especially if the growing year is a little bit weird. But that has made me very, very happy. Now, I was going to go into the greenhouse. I don't think I can stand the heat. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. But literally in the last week, the tomatoes have gone crazy. Now, I was really worried that they weren't actually going to get much taller. I was extremely wrong. Just look at some of these. Absolutely beautiful. And the chilies. I've honestly never had chilies this big this early on. Now, these chilies are about 3 foot high. And it's crazy how many flowers are actually on these plants. I'm really excited for a really bumper crop of chilies this year. They store so well, especially if you dry them, or even just chop them up and keep them in the freezer just so you can have them whenever you want. It really is the perfect crop for that kind of thing, and it will be great for some marinades too. I cannot stay that long in this polytunnel. At the moment it's 37 degrees and it's just too hot for me. I'm okay up to about 24, 25 degrees, and then after that I become extremely exhausted and I even struggle to breathe properly. So really, this is my husband's domain, because he's willing to work in the heat where I just can't. This is our first year of actually having a polytunnel. We've never had the space to do it before. We've had little greenhouses, or, well, one time we did have a massive greenhouse, but we actually used it for the chickens. So it's really exciting to see how well the crops have actually done in there. Now, I'm growing outdoor cucumbers called Marketmore 76. Yeah, I think it's Marketmore 76. Could be wrong on the number. But they're outdoor varieties. And when I put them in about 3 or 4 weeks ago, no, I don't even think it's that long ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I think I planted them the beginning of June. So a couple of weeks ago almost. And they didn't move, they didn't do anything. They didn't sulk, but they just didn't grow much over the last 2 weeks. Over the last few days, they've actually started to make a move. Now, I've got these dotted about all over the place, because on this area we've not grown before, so we didn't know how well it was going to grow over here. Now, the previous tenant had brought in a load of topsoil and apparently nothing grew in it, so he kind of gave up growing. which is pretty much the issue that we've had on certain parts of this site. So maybe that was the issue with our potatoes and some of the other crops that we've tried to grow. But the corn, it's crazy how fast it grows so quickly. And even my one squash that was pretty much flat now decided it's happy and it's perked right up. I did put a little bit of wood chip underneath the leaves a little bit because I actually think the black plastic was overheating the plant. But these uchikuri, urchikuri, I don't know what it is. I can't say it, and I'm not even going to pretend to think I can say it. Have really shot up the last few days. Now, these potato plants that are in between the corn were from the previous tenant the year before. Now, I kind of left them in there just because, well, it's free potatoes. But obviously they won't be dug up until my corn is ready later on in the year. If they survive, great. If they don't, no major loss. My runner beans are one of the plants that actually just sat there and just didn't do a single thing. And now they're almost 4 foot. So I really do think that the weather at the beginning of this year, with the way that it was, is what slowed down the growth of so much stuff. Now, I haven't grown runner beans for, years, absolute years, and it's pretty much only me that actually eats it. But again, it's one of those things that can store well, and I've got my eye on a couple of recipes I'd actually like to try. And finally, my courgette plant is actually doing something. Now, it's not as big as previous years so far, but it's nice to see the flowers come. These have actually started having the fruits behind them, so we'll see if they're actually going to pollinate. My raspberry plants are looking a little bit worse for wear. Well, the ones in the pot. These are suckers that I took out the garden last year, and I just put them into a pot because I didn't want to waste them, because it was a fantastic fruiting raspberry bush. Now, it has got fruit on the actual plant itself, but what I should have done is taken it out of the pot and put it into the ground. I just didn't have enough manure at the time to heavily feed this one little area I was going to put them in. It will be fine, it just won't be a really fantastic crop like I would normally get off of it. But come autumn, they'll come out that pot and I'll plant them up into the ground. Cut back what I need to cut back, and it should be absolutely fine. Now, a little trick if you've bought raspberries and you don't know whether it's summer or autumn varieties, and you've got them all mixed up, I'm actually going to tie a little ribbon on one of the branches to let me know which ones are my autumn and summer. It's very obvious at the moment as they're growing which ones are which, but when it comes to pruning, sometimes, especially if you've got lots of plants, you kind of forget which ones are which. So I'm going to literally use a little bit of ribbon tied around my summer variety so I know when to cut back, because obviously the autumn variety, it's a different time of the year that you actually cut those back on. My peas, I honestly think I need to actually secure this net a little bit better than I have. They're starting to grow very well. I think I'm just going to put some canes up against it and kind of wedge it along the fence a little bit. Probably could have done with planting this area better. But these peas will grow over 5 foot, and it's those purple variety, which I'm not going to actually try and pronounce. But don't lose heart. Things really do have a habit of just literally kicking in for growth, and within a short space of time really will shoot up and grow exceptionally well. So don't be in a rush to get rid of your plants. I see it a lot on some of the forums where I'm just going to dig them up because they haven't done anything. I have had lettuces gnawed down to the roots that have regrown. So don't lose heart. Leave them, let them do their thing. Obviously, if they're diseased, you need to sort that out. But if not, give it a chance. It could just be a bad season, because literally over the last 2 weeks, probably even the last 5 or 6 days, the amount of growth has trebled. And I can't walk in a straight line without falling over. So don't give up. Keep watering, keep feeding if your plants need it. The likely chance of it surviving and actually growing is quite high. Nature really is a wonderful thing.